In traditional chemistry, a molecule's handedness is usually determined by a central carbon atom, but there is another class of molecules called Atropisomers, where that three-dimensional shape is defined by a locked, twisted axis instead. This diagram shows biologically active molecules relying on these axes, specifically carbon-nitrogen or nitrogen-nitrogen bonds. Notice sotorasib right here. It's a potent drug recently approved to target lung cancer mutations, and its efficacy depends entirely on maintaining that precise axial shape. The challenge with nitrogen-based axes is that they are naturally floppy. Left alone, the axis spins freely, causing the molecule to constantly lose the highly specific geometry required to bind to diseases. To fix this, chemists engineer steric hindrance. They attach bulky chemical groups near the axis to physically block rotation. The molecule's components collide, freezing it into a permanent, rigid shape. Locking the axis keeps the drug stable in the body, but it creates a massive manufacturing headache in the lab. When you synthesize these locked molecules, you naturally produce a 50-50 mix of left-handed and right-handed versions. To get a pure batch for medicine, chemists typically use kinetic resolution, a process where you essentially filter out the specific orientation you need and discard the rest. This method carries a strict mathematical penalty. By discarding the wrong orientation, you cap your manufacturing yield at 50. In 2026, researchers at the Biju lab at the Indian Institute of Science began investigating this exact limit. They were examining a racemic, or mixed, batch of cyclic imides, molecules locked tightly by a carbon-nitrogen axis. Look at panel E from their research. Nuclear magnetic resonance testing revealed an anomaly in the liquid mixture. The molecule wasn't static. It was rapidly shifting a single proton back and forth, jumping between a keto form and an enol form. This diagram in panel F of the study explains the loophole. By moving through this sequence of tautomeric shifts, losing and regaining that proton, the left-handed molecule can reconfigure itself into the right-handed version without ever actually spinning its locked central axis. This shape-shifting behavior bypasses the physical rotation barrier entirely, creating the exact conditions needed to execute dynamic kinetic resolution on a locked molecule. To capture these shifting structures, the team deployed a tool known as N-heterocyclic carbene, or NHC, catalysis. This schematic illustrates the mechanism. The catalyst forms a reactive intermediate that physically blocks one side of the molecule, marked by this red X on the right side of the diagram. When the poorly oriented enantiomer tries to approach, it collides with the bulky catalyst structure and bounces off. Instead of being wasted, that rejected molecule simply shifts its form, flips its handedness through tautomerization, and slides perfectly into the unshielded face on the left. By utilizing this 3+3 annulation, the reaction shatters the 50% yield limit. The process delivers the desired orientation with an enantiomeric ratio of up to 99:1. The catalyst doesn't force the molecule to break its own physical rules. It just waits like a catcher's mitt for the molecule to rearrange itself and fall into the pocket. Once this complex architecture is synthesized and the axis is locked, you have to ensure it won't spontaneously unfold under biological stress. Thermodynamic calculations show the final product has a massive rotational energy barrier, reaching 46.5 kilocalories per mole. In real-world terms, it would take 869 years at room temperature for half of these molecules to accidentally lose their manufactured shape. Because they are virtually indestructible under standard conditions, these structures are highly reliable candidates for active pharmaceutical ingredients. The IISc team developed a highly adaptable platform that extends far beyond a single reaction. This grid shows consistently high yields across a wide variety of molecular starting materials. Pharmaceutical companies can use this method to efficiently manufacture massive libraries of drugs based on carbon-nitrogen and nitrogen-nitrogen axes that were previously considered too wasteful to produce. This single breakthrough streamlines the large-scale manufacture of advanced cancer inhibitors, next-generation pain relief medications, and novel antibiotics. By identifying a transient loophole in the physical limits of a single bond, chemistry has established an entirely new architectural blueprint for life-saving medicine.